Hello, this is Christiane Piano, and welcome to your Reset Reflections. Today's episode is a reflection on emotions. And it's been quite some time that I've wanted to record something regarding emotions, simply because the emotions are the bridge for the body-mind. And if you were to ask yourself the question, what is my relationship to emotions? What would your answer be? Perhaps pause and write it down. Just reflect for a moment. When babies are born into this world, when you were a little baby, you did not have an opinion about emotions. When you cried, you cried. When you laughed, you laughed. And over time, based on the environment you grew up in and the responsiveness or the lack of responsiveness, you began to develop a relationship to emotions. So, what emotions do you consider to be good? Which ones do you consider to be bad? Which ones are allowed? Which ones aren't allowed? How many times have you been told, don't be sad? Or perhaps, don't cry. Or maybe even, oh, nothing happened, you're just fine. No one ever says, don't be happy. Society in general, if you think about it, is not very supportive of expressing challenging emotions. And many times, even if we want to express a challenging emotions, we may find ourselves not very skilled at it, because we'd never had an example of what that looks like. We don't live in a world that is comfortable with crying or grieving. What happens for yourself when you see someone crying or grieving? Often those who are crying or grieving, or who become overtaken with emotion, are seen as weak. And so over time, as a result, we often feel alone with our emotions and desire to keep them repressed. There's often no support to help grieve life's disappointments, challenges, and losses that we all experience as human beings. So when we repress them, the emotions that we feel we should not be feeling or not allowed, or whatever connections we've created with them may make me appear weak or what have you, where do you think they go? Well, we push them down. And when they're pushed down, they get pushed into the body. It is critically important to human health, body-mind well-being, that we shed the stigma about the nature of things emotional. Toughing things out, burying uncomfortable feelings, and living under stress can lead to physical pain and dysfunction and serious medical illness. We are seeing an ever-growing epidemic of body-mind disorders, illnesses, dysfunctions. Autoimmune diseases are on the rise, anxiety and depression, cancer, chronic pain from back, neck, shoulder, and limbs, migraines and hypertension. The list is long, so I'll stop there because I think you get my drift. Whatever emotions we are living on top of requires a great deal of energy on your body-mind to keep stuff down. And this creates tension, and tension is not our natural state. This tension turns into stuckness. And whenever there's stuckness, there's a lack of flow. Now, some of the emotions that we stuff down, we are conscious of, and some we are not. The unconscious mind is where emotions reside, that for the most part we are unaware of. And not only is it not possible to directly access these emotions, it's not even necessary. Believe it or not, it's simply enough to acknowledge that painful, unpleasant, and often threatening emotions exist. It's not necessary to figure them out. Acknowledging their existence is enough. It's not about changing or fixing or understanding. Acceptance is embracing all parts of ourselves. And when we are able to accept and embrace all parts of ourselves, we begin to experience wholeness as a human being. Many of our problems in the experience of ourselves and the world come from a sense of lack of wholeness, disconnection. And so, beginning the path to learn to embrace the emotions that you're unfamiliar with, that you don't like, that you've judged in the past, is deeply healing. Say, for example, you wake up in the morning and you're feeling sad, down and out. Well, if you begin the practice of starting your day, asking yourself the question, how am I? Rather than trying to figure out why you're feeling the way you feel, which may be interesting, but it won't support you in shifting out of it. You can ask yourself the question, what is it I can do to show up for myself today to support myself? And perhaps, who is it that I could ask to receive support from. If you're able to simply witness however it is you're experiencing yourself as something that comes and goes, and you're able to be with it, it will let you be. So say you are down and out, say you are sad. What are the types of things that you have, what do you have time for in your day to help you shift back to a state of neutrality? Movement practices, breathing practices, spending time in nature, being in conversation with someone who doesn't try to talk you out of how you're feeling, cheer you up. Someone who simply knows how to just hold space for you no matter how you're feeling. And usually those kinds of people have developed and practiced over time a relationship to their emotions where all of them are acceptable. And they themselves are somebody who is slowly allowing undigested emotions that have been shoved down into the body to slowly surface and be processed and let go of. Foods you eat will support this process. Content you interact with will support this process or work against. Because the fact of the matter is if you don't develop a neutral relationship with all emotions, whatever emotions you're resisting, don't like, or challenged by, those emotions will run you. You see, we can't know joy without sorrow. We can't know happiness without sad. We can't know feeling up without feeling down. The array of experiences that are available to us as human beings, if we allow them to, will enrich us, will teach us. And over time, as you learn to embrace yourself and support yourself, no matter how you're feeling, then you'll learn to do that with others. Simply hold a space for others to be as they are. And no matter what you're going through, no matter how you feel, you'll still be able to experience the beauty of each moment, no matter what it's bringing, no matter what's present. So I do hope in some shape or form that in listening to this episode, you will begin to give yourself permission to develop an evolved relationship with your emotions. That you'll begin to experience those who appropriately express their emotions and open up about what they're experiencing in their lives, rather than seeing them as weak. You'll begin to have deep respect for the courage it takes to be open and vulnerable, appropriate for the circumstance. And as you begin to allow yourself to experience whatever emotion is present for you, your experience of wholeness will increase. And with that will come an ever-increasing sense of ease and calm, and perhaps even bliss. So as always, I enjoy hearing back from you on what resonated for you. If there's someone in your life that you feel would find this episode supportive, please feel free to share, like, or follow to allow more people to gain access to this conversation.